Good morning, Bodad here. It's Easter morning, hence the beautiful shirt. And I'm about to serve in a peep. Thought you might enjoy watching how. First, you're gonna need a nice cup of coffee. Second, you're gonna need some serving string. I recommend some thinner serving string. You're gonna need some wax. My recommendation would be, before you even start, just take that string and run it across the wax. Now me, I'm the kind of guy who just likes to sit on the floor and do this type of thing. Why get all fancy with the bow press? Let's check this out. The first thing we're gonna do is take that serving string and pull about 3 inches right up through the opening and wedge it in there really good. Then what you're gonna do is run one loop in front of that serving string, lay the serving string down, and then start doing some loops. Each loop is getting closer and closer to the actual Peepsight, and it's kind of pinching on the top of that triangle that's formed by the Peepsight being inside the string there. So I typically do about 5 or 6 loops. I think this time I do about 6. And then eventually you're going to get to the point where you're going to start doing loops inside of that hole that is made by the peep. And you can see I'm sticking it down in through there now. And you're going to loop. And this time you're not looping them right next to each other. You're leaving a little gap. And the gap, I guess, is dependent upon what you like visually. You don't want it to be too far apart. I would say I'm probably about a 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch separation on each loop that I'm doing as I'm running towards the peep. As I get close to the peep, I start looping around the peep. Now, I usually loop around the peep about 3 times, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to find myself on the other side of the peep, and I'm going to start running loops down that side of the string. Now, I always run it down the opposite side of the string. I think it offers a little bit of balance for that Peepsight, and it looks really sweet. So I'm going to start looping down the other side, again, leaving a little bit of a gap. And you can see next to my thumb there the gaps that I left between loops, and I'm trying to do the same thing on the bottom. Eventually I'll get down to where I'm at the bottom of that triangular opening, and I'll kind of wedge it in there, and then I'm going to start doing some loops around that. And again, I usually do about 5 or 6 loops around the outside of it, and each loop at this point is actually getting further away from the peep. And now we get to the funnest part. I have no idea why I think this is so fun, but you're gonna make a loop. You can see my bottom finger there holding a loop out away from the string. And you wanna make sure that that loop is on the same side of the string. And then as you can see, I'm taking the thread and I'm looping it through inside and coming up and around, up and around, up and around, probably 5 times. Now, this is the funnest part. It's so cool. So now I'm gonna lay that string down, hold it with my thumb, and this is really tricky because you have to try and maneuver this loop without losing tension. But now I'm gonna actually start spinning that loop around so that it's unwinding all the loops that I had previously done. And in doing so, I'm actually winding serving next to the previously wound serving. Now, stop right there. Look, I got my finger in that loop. I'm gonna grab the serving I laid down and I'm gonna pull. And as I do, it brings that loop in and boop, I got a nice tight serving on the bottom. Now, the last part here is gonna be for me to cut the extra strings off. And once I cut the extra strings off, I fray them just a tad, burn them down real good with a lighter, and then we have our finished product, a nice served peep that's not gonna shoot out and pop out your eyeball when you're shooting bow. And there you have it. This is Bodad. I really appreciate you watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe.